Hello and welcome back to the Florida Men Gaming. My name is Furion and today we're going to be playing Magic the Gathering Arena. But before we get started, I'd like to ask that you please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let us know what you're thinking, what you'd like to see, and if you're over there on Rumble, go ahead and smash that Rumble button. We are doing another installment of the Magic Bites, and for today's installment we are going to be talking about Ob Nixilis, the Adversary. This deck is my take on the Ob Nixilis archetype. Now, I'm going to tell you, I dislike this card and this synergy so much because it has been so difficult to tune it, but I finally found a tune that works for me. So let's take a look at what we're trying to accomplish, give you some quick reasonings behind certain cards you're going to see, and then you're going to see us with our win. Like I said with the Magic Bite series, you get one win, you get the deck breakdown at the end, and then we go from there. Today's win came up against what I think personally is the best answer to Ob Nixilis decks, and that is Mill. Ob Nixilis decks tend to run very, very low mana curves, so if you can hit Mill properly, I think you can absolutely destroy Ob Nixilis very quickly. One Hideous Laughter and you wipe out a huge portion of what those decks tend to run. So, here's what we're running. We are running 2 copies of the Ecstatic Awakener. Why? Because it serves a dual function for us. It gives us something that beefs up on sacrifice and gives us even more punching power, but it can also be sacrifice fodder at 1 mana. So if we need something to sacrifice to Ob Nixilis, we have it. We're running 2 copies of Eaten Alive. More sacrifice fodder gives us something to sacrifice Oni-Cult Anvil tokens with, and that again powers up more tokens as we get those out on the board. 3 copies of the Voltage Surge, a 2 or 4 damage spell depending on what we have available on the board for us. Now this is where I veer off from some of the other people. I'm running 4 copies of the Body Dropper. If you haven't played this card, it's a common, red and a black. When you sacrifice another creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Body Dropper. You can also, for a Rakdos, sacrifice another creature and the Body Dropper will gain Menace until the end of the turn. Now why is this creature in my deck compared to other players? That's because I want this creature on board as a turn 2. I want either this or the Anvil on turn 2. The reason I want the Body Dropper is if I have another sacrifice fodder on deck, then all I have to do with my Ob Nixilis is plus them. The Body Dropper, being a Devil Warrior, gives him the Devil, which allows me to get that positive health flow to their negative health flow right from the get-go. Whereas with most players, if they don't have a Devil on field already, they have to minus their big Ob plus their small Ob, and then they've got 2 pretty weak Ob Nixilis. So that is my thought process behind the Body Dropper. It performs very well for me. To help with Ob Nixilis fodder, turn 1 plays that I'm trying to use as potential sacrifice fodder for him, 4 copies of the Goldhound. This is a common artifact creature treasure dog, so it fills out multiple synergies in our build out here. It is an artifact, and it is a treasure, so it can tap for mana if we need it. It has first strike, it has menace, it has all sorts of different things, but really it's just going to end up being sacrifice fodder down the line. It can sacrifice to the Oni-Cult Anvil, it can sacrifice to any number of things. It is a very useful card for us. 3 copies of the Voldaren Epicure. Why? Because it's a dual synergy card. It gives us sacrifice fodder for Ob Nixilis, and it gives us a blood token to be sacrifice fodder for our Anvil. We're also running 3 copies of the Experimental Synthesizer. Why? Again, I need sacrifice fodder for my Anvil. And if I can go Experimental Synthesizer, Anvil, Ob Nixilis, I can have my token to sacrifice and get moving right from the jump. We're also running 4 copies of the Meathook Massacre to clean up any potential nasty. 4 copies of the Bloodtithe Harvester to give us a bigger synergy with the Anvil and the Ob Nixilis. It is a 3 toughness creature, which if we can sacrifice it to the Ob Nixilis gives us a more powerful dual set of planeswalkers on the field, and that is where we are. Other cards we're running to just kind of work the synergies together for ourselves. 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrant, 2 Den of the Bugbear, a Takenuma Abandoned Mire to have some graveyard recursion, pull back some of our key spells, including Ob Nixilis. 1 Sokenzan, Crucible of Defiance, because why not? And then a series of other lands worked in, Haunted Ridges, Blightstep Pathways, and then Swamps and Mountains. This deck has performed very well in its current iteration. We're going to do a dual-faced breakdown here and let you see 2 different stat lines on this deck. The most important stat line is this version. Right now, it is 3-0. It is an excellent deck that has been performing very well in its current iteration. From previous iterations, though, overall, any of my Ob Nixilis performing decks have performed at 5 and 7. Why do I say that? Just so you know, this is a difficult deck to build. You have to really tune it right to make it work. You can't just slap everything together. And if you're curious, there is a great podcast on Barbarian class by Michael Flores that really highlights the difficulty and the nuance that goes into building a properly tuned Ob Nixilis deck. It is a powerful deck, but it isn't a catch-all deck. You have to really know what you're doing with it. This has performed well enough that I feel like, okay, maybe I've figured it out a little bit. So, with that, excited for you to take a look at how it performs against, again, in my mind, its biggest adversary, and we will see you in the post-game wrap.
After 1,000 years, finally, a new conquest. Go ahead, plead for mercy. Pleasure doing business with you. Your punishment is my entertainment. By coin or carnage, tribute is owed. Your punishment is my entertainment. Go ahead, plead for mercy.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I realized I screwed up the whole sequence of the Magic Bite series by, what did I do? Show you the stats too early. We're going to take one more look at them again. 3-0. Overall, playing Ob Nixilis decks, I am 5-7, but the most important thing here, 3-0 with the particular breakdown that we're facing. Now, what have I faced off against? I have faced off against Esper or Obscura Control, Mill, and Angels. So, 3 very powerful deck types in the format, and I have gone 3-0 against them in the current version of the deck. We will be posting a link to the untap.gg so you can kind of follow the progression of this particular build out. If you want to take it for yourself, go ahead. Reason I'm running cards that I like in terms of stuff like the Ecstatic Awakener, just more commons to kind of fill out your board, make it less intensive on your base. Really, if you look at this, the only mythics here are the Adversary and the Meathook Massacre. Meathook Massacre, chances are, if you've been playing long enough, you might have already invested in it. That making Ob Nixilis your biggest investment here. And then again, we're not going too heavy on land. And again, land is always the taste. So if you don't have the Haunted Ridge playset, you know, go for the tapped lands that bring you life from the last set. They have tapped lands in this set. There's all sorts of things you can run. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next one. With that, this is Furion from the Florida Men Gaming, signing off until the next time.